Are you lost in the chaotic whirlwind of day-to-day busyness? Do you yearn for a deeper sense of meaning and purpose in your life? Welcome to Be You, Your Story, Your Purpose, the podcast dedicated to empowering women on their journey of self-discovery and finding their true purpose through their own story. I'm your host, Brenda Simmons. Welcome to the Be You, Your Story, Your Purpose podcast. Today, my guest is Michele Johnston. She is the powerhouse behind Fiercely Authentic Coaching. Raised with strict ideals, she married young and became a devoted mother of four. For years, she mastered struggles to fit society's perfect mold. But when her kids grew, she prioritized self-care. Pushing a truck full of kettlebells was her aha moment, revealing her incredible strength physically and mentally. Michele dove into fitness and embarked on a journey of self-discovery, self-love, adventure, and grace. Now, as a life and empowerment coach, she empowers fierce women to rediscover their authentic selves, fall in love with their quirks, and live life unapologetically. Welcome, Michele. I'm so glad that you are able to be here with me today. I love the name of your business. What does being fiercely authentic mean to you?
Fiercely authentic means being brave. It means to have the courage to embrace all of your imperfections that make you uniquely you, who you are, and showing the world exactly who you authentically are, who continuously as your true self.
I love that so much. But according to your own bio, that you didn't have that for quite a while. So will you tell us a little bit about your story? I really want to know what this aha moment was with the pushing the truck full of kettlebells. And why do you have a truck full of kettlebells?
Yeah, why? How does that? And by the way, there is a picture floating on social media of this event. So proof is in the picture.
Okay, all right.
So my backstory is that I grew up in a really strict religious home. And as a result, I was really brought up with these ideas of what the perfect wife, mother, woman should be. And of course, that's all I knew growing up. And I knew that my sole purpose was to be a wife and mother. In fact, I remember saying, I'm the oldest of five, saying, I want to outdo my mom and have 6 kids. And
wow.
I mean, I just knew that was my purpose in life. And so I went through my teenage years. I had a little rebellious phase at like 17, 18, where I actually, now in hindsight, knowing I was tapping into who I was authentically and just didn't realize it. But, after a year or two of, gallivanting around and being crazy, that little nagging voice was in the back of my head saying, hey, listen, you're about to turn 20. You need to start thinking about settling down and having kids, because in my mind, that's what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
So I started looking for that perfect partner, that person that would elevate me to where I was supposed to be as a wife and mom. And I ended up getting married at 23 and had my first of 4 kiddos at 23. And I dove straight into being a wife and a mom. That was my new identity. And I carried on just in these roles for 15 something odd years before my youngest one went to preschool.
Right.
And it was in that moment that I started realizing I had lost myself. I didn't realize it along the way. I was so focused on raising a family and making them happy. And, as I'm sure we'll dive into more, like that perfectionist piece and how that played into it all too. But when my youngest went off to preschool, I, had like a few hours extra every day. And, there's only so much laundry, only so much house cleaning.
Right.
So you can stock your house so much full of groceries before you're finally sitting with yourself going, okay,
now what?
What am I going to do? Because I didn't have any interests outside of kids' crafts and, meal planning. And,
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't thought about taking care of myself in years and years and years. So I had no idea where to start. Um, I did know, though, that my youngest child had been born prematurely because of chronic hypertension. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, caring for my family, I wasn't caring for myself. So I ended up actually being diagnosed pre-diabetic with this hypertension. And so I knew like the first place to start taking care of me was going to be with my health. And
Right.
so I started focusing on movement, my nutrition, and I ended up discovering this fun group of women and this exercise group, and it was very primal based. And I was like, well, this is a kind of different and fun. So I got into this group.
Wait, hang on. What do you
Yeah.
mean by primal based? I'm super
Oh,
curious about that.
oh, so I think primal, I think like like a carnivore diet, like very like eat
Got it.
everything that God created, put on the earth. And when we exercise, we would be exercising barefoot, outdoors, and just really kind of like caveman, like
Right. I love that.
those
That's so fun.
movements. Yeah,
Yeah.
bear crawls and like
Yeah.
very like primitive movements.
Yeah.
And so we show up for a group one day, and our instructor takes us out and says, we're going to go meet out at the back parking lot. Oh, okay. Well, lo and behold, there's this huge, like, I don't know, F-250. I don't even know what it was, but it was a
Yeah.
huge pickup truck full of these kettlebells. And he's like, y'all are going to be pushing this truck in the parking lot today. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
But there I was, my turn, bare feet in the parking lot, and I pushed that truck a couple yards. And it was in that moment that I truly had an aha moment of, oh my gosh, I am way more stronger physically and mentally than I ever gave myself credit for. And I like to joke around that that was the day that Michelle's badass revolution began because all
I
of a sudden
love
I was
that.
like, oh my gosh, I'm a freaking badass. I got
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
then, yeah. So that's really what kind of that started Michelle's badass revolution.
I love that. And it's so interesting. Because I think that women have these, I don't know what you call them, but these times in their lives where it's their moments of reflection, um, as they become if they once when they get married. I think having kids is a big time. When all our kids are in school is like what you experience is a big time. When all our kids are gone, that's a big time, and,
Mhm.
and it's kind of a okay, well, the now what
Yeah.
times, right? And so I love that you took a deep dive into your what to figure out, who you are and what you do. I love that story. I think that's so amazing. Well, and what I love about it too is how you took that aha moment and really internalized it. Not everybody will do that. And it's I think aha moments they're like my favorite things in the whole. I was like,
Right?
so fun. And it's like I was in the dark and now all of a sudden it's bright light. And I'm like, oh, I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that. I think that's so, so fun. So what do you think is the very most important thing that you've learned through your journey so far?
Oh, goodness. Wow. Well, I've really learned how important it is to release negative experiences and relationships that no longer serve me and who I'm trying to evolve to be. Um, Releasing that negativity, releasing self blame of who I was in my previous life. Because really, I was just doing what I knew how to do at the time with the knowledge I had.
Right.
Um, I've learned about moving forward with self love and
Hmm.
grace, how important that is. Rediscovering yourself is a huge learning curve. It's new, it's exciting, and it's scary, but all the growth along the way is freaking amazing.
It is. It is. And it's, having spoken as somebody who's done it too, I look back on my life and go, I am just a completely different person, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like, and I think you would agree to this too, like who you are now is so much more. Like, and I don't know if there's a better way to put, I mean, it's just bigger and better and like
Yeah.
it's just super, super fun. You said a lot. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack with what you just said too. Right. So just letting go of negativity, and that can sometimes mean people in your life. So
Yeah.
that's a struggle. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I certainly am not one that likes conflict, and I don't
Mhm.
like confronting people either. So, for me, it started in the online space. It was a lot easier to hide people or unfriend people in the online space. I would stop following pages that were really more focused on perfecting myself as a homemaker, as a mother, that really, in all honesty, didn't motivate me, but weighed me down. So, like getting rid of those influencers that really aren't helping you rise up.
Right.
Um, the friendships and in person, as I began to dive more deeply into who I wanted to be and focus more on myself, I kind of realized that the people that weren't meant to be in my life kind of disappeared. And I didn't really need to do anything about it. Or I would post stuff, some motivational quote or something exciting that happened to me. And people who didn't get it, they really just kind of natural selection moved them out. So, yeah, that was like the big move for me. It was clearing out the negative clutter on social media. The more negativity you clear, the more opportunity for positive to come in presents itself.
Yeah, and I love that. And as far as people, it's so interesting because sometimes it's just for a season they need to be out of your life. And
Hmm.
and then later on, at least I found for me, as I've gotten to a healthier place, I've been able to let some of those people back in.
Yeah.
But it's different. It's not the same relationship, And so I
Yeah.
think understanding that there's like when you make changes, everything changes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
It
There's
is
It's
okay.
okay, right? And it's expected, and it actually is a very beautiful thing. So
Mhm.
talk to me a little bit about the perfectionism because
Mhm.
you you mentioned living up to this ideal, and that happens so often with women. And we have this idea in our mind, whether it's being a homemaker or a CEO or whatever it is, anywhere in between, that we have this ideal that we have to live up to. So,
Mhm.
what was that like for you to change that?
Yeah, well, perfectionism for me held me in the state of really trying to reach unrealistic expectations. Um, for me, it was always trying to present the picture of a perfect family. At home, I was always trying to maintain the same expectations, and it wasn't working for me.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, I was constantly living a filtered down version of myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Perfectionism, like you said, it's not just, mom, wife based, it's CEO based, it's professional. The social media is always putting up that perfect image of how you should be. Um, and truly, all of that stuff is so unrealistic. And to put those expectations on yourself is, um, such a bad place to be in. It's so difficult to, you constantly dig yourself into this hole, and then to try and get yourself out is a real process and difficult. a lot of undoing of
Yeah.
mindset.
How do you think perfectionism masks your own identity, like
Mhm.
your own authenticity?
Yeah. Well, like I said, like I felt I was living like a filtered down version of myself.
Right.
Um, because every time true self, Michelle, would come out, I would stifle her back down, like, yeah, I swear, but I wasn't supposed to swear. I like a glass of wine, but I wasn't supposed to drink wine,
Right.
like all these like various things that made me who I was, I felt shame about. Um,
That's huge.
yeah, the shame piece
Right.
is huge.
Yeah. So what did shame do?
Shame for me, put me in quite the depression, to be honest, because I was constantly trying to be this person that I wasn't, and I couldn't get there. And so I felt like a failure. I felt like I was letting my family down. Felt like I was letting everyone down. But in the big picture of things, like I was the best mom and the best wife to them. Like everyone loved me and thought I was fantastic. It was just all that in that mindset, those narratives that I kept running through my head of how I should be.
That's so dangerous. I
Yeah.
mean, once you start playing with shame, like that is just I've seen that in my own life and I've seen it in other people's lives, where it's nothing can bring you down quicker than shame,
Yeah.
and it's amazing the negative impact that it has.
Yeah.
That's so I know you've talked about the kettlebell truck and all of that, but there's still like did it take time for you to like was it a switch to go, this is not how I want to live, this is how I want to, or or did it take a long time to get to that point?
Um, no, I tell you, I'm like a 0 to 100 kind of girl. Like I literally that light switch went on and I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Um, uh I kept with what I was doing, but I started searching out more into like in that moment, I found out how strong I was, but I also fell in love with um my own like physical strength. And I fell in love with seeing how I could push myself and the adrenaline rush, holy freaking cow, the endorphins that came along with it. So I really started on this fitness journey for myself and, found on YouTube, different things and whatnot. But I ended up in the gym and I would have never thought in a million years I would have ended up in a gym not doing like an aerobics class or something.
Right.
But I was in there doing heavy lifting and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the movements. I fell in love with how strong it was. I fell in love with how therapeutic it was, the music and the the weight of the weights
Right.
helped me process through stress and emotions. It was very, very therapeutic to me. And then the icing on the cake was that my body composition was changing. So mentally, I was getting healthier. Physically, I was getting healthier and stronger. And I fell in love with it so much it became a non-negotiable piece for me, which I think is huge on that journey to find your happy and to reconnect with yourself is to find that thing that becomes a non-negotiable piece of joy in your life. And there's nothing that can stand in your way. I mean, yeah, I had my kids. Yeah, I was a busy mom running around to all the things. But if I didn't have time in the morning while they were at school, after I tucked them in at night, 9:30, I was heading to the gym to get that hour. And it was a huge non-negotiable piece for me. And ultimately, like I said, 0 to 100, I set a goal of being in a fitness competition.
That was my next question. Have you done competitions?
Yes, ma'am, I sure did. I did 3.
Yeah.
And it was I say it's the most liberating thing outside of childbirth, because, childbirth, you're like bearing all for the world to see, right? And,
Right.
Being up on stage with a bling bikini and 5-inch hooker heels isn't too far off from that either.
Right.
It was a goal for me. I just wanted to be in the best shape of my life. And I wanted to be in a place where I knew that I was doing everything in my power to be present for my kids and my grandkids. And so I set that lofty goal, and it was amazing.
I love that. That's super fun. So I love this idea of finding a non-negotiable joy,
Mhm.
something that will bring you joy. So is the weightlifting still your non-negotiable, or have you found that there are other things now that you have been able to attract as well?
I think weightlifting will always be that piece for me,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, weightlifting is still in the picture. Like, let's see, my first competition was back in 2015. So still going strong. I haven't done a competition since 2017. I kind of let that go,
Yeah.
but the habit is still there. Um, Another thing and piece that's come along is I'm no longer the bottom of the totem pole like I was.
Isn't
Um,
that like you have such a sense of accomplishment? You're like, I love that. I've recently been listening to this book called The Gap and the Gain, and it talks all about how so often we measure ourselves by looking forward, by looking to where we are in relation to a goal that we want to achieve. And the
Mhm.
problem with that is that we'll never make it,
Yeah.
right? You know?
Yeah.
And again, it's like that perfectionism piece, right? We have this ideal and you will never reach that ideal because we're human and we make mistakes and we're infallible, right? And so the best thing to do is instead to look at the progress that you've made,
Mhm.
looking backwards. And so I think that's totally what you have done is looked backwards and gone, "Oh my gosh, look at I don't need to compete because
Mhm.
I've met that and look at what I've been able to do." So I love
Mhm.
that so much.
Thank you. Yeah, no longer the bottom of the totem pole piece comes along with setting the boundaries and not feeling guilt and saying no. And for me, I could never say no to my children or my husband. I would sacrifice myself, my time, my sleep, whatever, because I couldn't say no. And not only to my family, but everything outside. I was totally
Right.
burnt out. But now my children all understand now where I say, I'm going to the gym for an hour. They know not to call me unless it's an emergency. Or, if they're asking me, like, hey, mom, can I do this, this, and this? And can you do this, this, and this for me? Be like, you know what? It's been a long day. No, I can't. I can help you with this one thing, but you're on your own for the rest. So
Yeah. Well, and
that's
don't you
bringing
think,
yourself from the bottom.
yes. Well, and don't you think that saying yes all the time just is another way of manifesting the perfectionism?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's
Yeah.
I look at the times where I've struggled with that too, and it's a hard thing to break out of that and go, no, this is my boundary and I just can't give anymore because we
Mm-hmm.
give and give and give and give and give because we have that ideal that
Yeah.
we want to live up to. So,
Exactly. You got to be everything to everyone all the time.
exactly. So, what does no mean to you emotionally?
Oh, no is empowering. No is empowering. No is putting me first. No is knowing my worth and knowing I deserve to be happy.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. And I think sometimes we have to sit down and write it out
Absolutely.
because if you're not clear with yourself who you are and what you stand for and what you believe in, it's you don't, you will fall very, very
Uh-huh.
quickly. So
Yeah.
I love that. That's super beautiful. Okay, so I told you before we pressed record that I really love your Instagram. And so I'm
Yeah.
just gonna tell everybody go on her Instagram. She does an amazing job. It's really, really beautiful. But you said something on your Instagram that you had a feeling that you were meant for something more. And I think this was a pretty
Mhm.
recent post.
Yeah.
So what did you mean by that? And what are you doing about it?
So, um, about a year ago, and I'm always, granted, ever since my awakening, I'm always looking for signs of releasing old pieces that no longer are serving me and moving forward towards bigger and better things. So about a year ago, I was out on the patio. It was a sunny morning. My husband and I were out on the patio just taking in the sun. And I told him, you know what? These last 3 weeks, I've felt a real burning in my soul that what I'm doing right now is not the end game, that I'm meant for something way bigger and better. I have no idea what it is, but I just have this burning in my soul. I just feel it. And he's like, you know what, Michelle? It's so wild that you say that because I've been feeling that exact same thing about you
No
for the last
way.
few weeks. Yeah,
Wow. How
we're
cool to have
so
some
in
support like
tune.
that. Yes. Yes.
I did the same thing. I was like, shut up. And he's like, no, I'm serious. Like, I've really felt that same feeling inside too, that you are meant for something so much bigger that you don't even realize. And I'm like, yeah, like I have no idea. I have no idea what it's going to be, if it's going to be continuing, doing virtual assisting, or is it going, and which I was like, that is not my end game. I was like, is it going to be
Right.
coaching? Is it, and I honestly, I said, is it going to be sharing my story? Maybe one day I'll end up on a stage giving a TED talk. I don't even freaking know.
Yeah.
A year ago. And like I've had so many transitions this year, and here I am speaking and sharing my story. I still know it's not my end game.
Yeah.
I still know there's big things that are in the works, but um, yeah, that was a huge moment when you have that burning in your soul, just knowing that there's just something big out there waiting for you. Oh my freaking gosh.
Yes. Yes.
There's no denying it.
Yeah. So how do you find it? How do you feel, like what do you think are your next steps?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I know what my next steps are. Well, so I do have to say that we talked about clearing out the negativity
Hmm.
and how it would open gates for positivity to come in. When I am a huge believer in affirmations and it being kind of like a portal of bringing positivity into your life. I'm always looking for signs from the universe or God that's, you know, just confirming that I'm on the right path, I'm doing the right thing.
Uh-huh.
But one of the steps that I took, especially when I was going through a really difficult part of my rediscovery and awakening, I would create affirmations and motivational quotes, little wallpapers for my phone. So every time I tap my lock screen, it would just give me a second to take a deep breath and just release any tension and negativity, saying my affirmation a few times, take another deep breath in, breathe in all the positivity, and then, move on. Because if you think about it, how many times are our notifications popping up or we're checking the time?
Oh, yes.
It was a constant habit for me to, an actionable step, I should say, for me to take to bring positivity into my life. And I still do. now I have alarms set on my phone
Love it.
with affirmations popping up. So for me, that's a really easy way to help keep me aligned with my journey and my purpose, wherever that journey is leading me to.
I love that. What's your go-to affirmation?
Oh, Jesus. Um, there's so many.
Yeah.
One of my big affirmations that I still fall back on, it's my wake up alarm, is um, I am open to receiving all abundance that the universe sees fit for me to receive.
I love
So,
that.
yeah.
Wow. What I love what you have just described, like this process, right? Because, when you see something repeated over and over, there's truth in that, right? And so one of my guiding values is truth. And so as I'm always looking, where do I see repetition
Hmm.
in patterns and things like that, right? And so I think this is one that you see that, you do some work on yourself, and it is work, right? It's not an easy thing to make changes in your life. But when you're honest about where you're at and you do the hard work and you align yourself with goodness and positivity, that it is amazing how things just come your way. It's like if you put yourself in that position, things come your way. And I believe that is a law of the universe, right?
Yes.
And it's I mean, the law of attraction, right? So that
Hmm.
really is what that is. And there's others too, but it doesn't stop there, right? And that's what's so amazing is then you keep going and you keep moving forward, and other opportunities come, and it's just amazing
Hmm.
how, I love seeing that pattern play out over and over and over again. So that's just
Right?
super cool. I'm
It really
excited to
is.
see what
Ah.
what happens to you.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
And I just like I recently and like really last week, even last Tuesday, as recently as last week, I had a big change happen in my life that really kind of took me by surprise.
Really?
And you get so caught up in that big shift or that big change, and you kind of have your like, oh crap moment.
Mhm.
And then as I came out of it, I was like, what just happened here was something major leaving your life that no longer served you to open the way for new, bigger, and better opportunities, things to come into your life to help you continue to evolve. And it's like, oh my gosh, well, thanks so much.
Right. Well, and I think so much we get pulled down into that change and the bad part of that change, and it's just really shifting your perspective like you just
Yeah,
did. Like that's so amazing. And I think there is power in that perspective, and being
absolutely.
willing to look at it all in all different directions.
Mhm.
So that's awesome. I love it. I love your energy and I love your positivity, and I just think it's so much fun. So how, okay, how would you describe yourself 5, 10 years ago versus how you are now? What words would you use?
Oh, goodness. Like, yeah, I kind of sat on this one the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So 5, 10 years. I'm going to shift back to 10 years
Okay.
because 10 years was before any change. Um, 10 years ago, I was burnt out. I was overwhelmed. I was depressed. Um, Yet I hid it under a guise of it being super happy with my life. I was really struggling, and which, all those things created the burnout too.
Right. Right.
So 10 years ago, I was, and I had no sense of purpose anymore. I like, yes, I still was a mom and a wife, but truly as Michele, I didn't have a purpose. I didn't know what that was. And I yearned for more, but I didn't know how to make it happen. I felt very stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, how I am now, I mean, I like total 360 total switcheroo. The glass is always half full for me. There's always learning in the struggles. There's always some lesson for me to take away. There's always something that is helping me evolve and level up. Um, don't get me wrong, I definitely have my breakdowns and I struggle and what the heck is going on? What am I supposed to do? But overall, I feel extremely aligned with where I'm at right now and very, very happy with my life and excited for the future. Future Michele is going to make big changes in this world. And, just like I was saying before, I have no idea where this is, where my journey is going to lead me to, but I just know it's big. And um, shoot, I'm getting a little emotional. um, I really feel in this moment that that I am meant to help and support other women, help empower and inspire other women to step into who they truly are and to have a voice and to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. And at the end of the day, not have any regrets or what ifs
Or shame.
or shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is beautiful. Watch out, world. Michelle's coming.
Watch out.
Well, and what I love too is there's no comparison. I mean, we are all on our own journey. And, if I love that you feel called to be bigger and better and to go for it. And really, if you look at your life, do you think everything that has happened and all the things that you've learned in the last 10 years have prepared you now to accept this bigger leap?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Everything's been a stepping stone along the way.
absolutely. I love that. I love that so much. Michele, where you actually have a gift
I
for
do.
our listeners. Can you tell us a little bit about that and where they can find it?
Sure. Yeah. So, what I've made for your audience is a series of affirmation and motivational wallpapers for your phone, because that was such a key thing in my transition, and it still is a key in my life today. So, we'll drop the link in the notes.
Yep.
And you can just follow the link and grab those wallpapers. And I hope that you love them as much as I do.
I love that so much. And that's so creative. I just was like, oh my gosh, how wonderful to have something physical like that you can look at every single day. Can they edit them to do their own affirmations, or it is what it is?
It is what it is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But there's a variety, so I think it'll be okay.
Awesome. I love that so much. That's so great. So I wanted to just really quickly, if somebody comes to work with you, what does that look like for you?
So I offer one-on-one coaching. It's a 3-month program. And what that looks like is biweekly phone calls, access to me through Voxer. And basically, I'm going to be holding your hand and helping you as you embark on this journey of awakening, which is
Love it.
freaking exciting.
It is exciting. It can feel scary at first, but man, once you get momentum, it is so enlightening and empowering. So I love that word. So, so fun. So where else can people learn more about you, Michele?
So people can connect with me best through Instagram. My handle is Fiercely Authentic Coaching. please feel free to slide into my DMs. I love connecting with people and super happy to chat. And I would just love hearing from you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. I feel like we covered, like, I think we could rule the world now with everything that we,
Right.
we covered. Between perfectionism and finding that one thing that brings you joy, to decluttering all the negativity. I mean, there's so much to unpack here.
Mhm.
And I really hope that our listeners have gained a lot of benefit from this conversation. I know I have. It's been very uplifting for me.
Mhm.
And I love your energy, and you just exude joy. I
Oh,
think that's a beautiful thing. So
well,
thank
thank you
you
so
for
much
taking
for
the
having
time.
me.
Well, thank you. So this has been truly wonderful. So I will post the links to your offer as well as where to contact you in the show notes. Please look for that. And for those of you listening, please like and share this podcast. It really does all of us a lot of good so that we can share a message and just bring light to more and more people in this world. And with that, we'll leave you, but always remember that your purpose is in your story. It's there. You're beautiful. You can do it. And until next time, we'll see you. Bye.
Celebrate your dreams, let them take flight, for you are a star, shining bright in every step you take. Let your light glow, being you is the greatest way to grow.